Good morning. This is Mrs. Poindexter. I'll be reading from the HI level, complete with questions at the beginning and at the end of each page. New Class Rules. Chapter 2, Making New Laws. I have a question. As we read this page, let's discuss different sources that we can use to get information. Let's think about that as we read this page. Look at the picture. Mr. Landry is thinking about some things on this page. Before we make our classroom rules, we should learn about how laws are made, said Mr. Landry. We can use the same process to make our rules. What will the class use to learn about how laws are made? They can use books, websites, or videos. Mr. Landry chooses to show the students a video of how laws are made. Our discussion question is, what are some of the different sources that we can use to get information made? What document tells how laws are created? That is a question I have for you. The first leaders of our country wrote the U.S. Constitution. They worked together to decide what laws we should have. They knew we would need more laws in the country. The leaders wrote down how to make a new law in the U.S. Constitution. My question to you is, what document tells how laws are created? What document tells us how laws are created? How are new laws made? First, leaders look for a problem. A problem is something that is hard to understand and deal with. Then leaders work together in groups to think of ways to solve the problem. Next, leaders choose the best way to solve the problem. And finally, a new law is made. My question is, who makes new laws? Who makes new laws? My next question is, what is the first step in making a law? Let's think about that as we read this page. Before a law is made, there must be a problem. Leaders can see problems, or people can tell their leaders about problems they see. For example, the leaders see a problem with car accidents. They see more people get hurt in car accidents when they do not wear their seatbelt. My question was, What is the first step in making a law? Has anyone determined what the answer is? After leaders know what the problem is, they work together to solve it. They meet in a small group first. They talk about ways to solve the problem. One leader thinks people should be able to choose to wear a seatbelt. Another leader thinks people should have to wear a seatbelt in cars, buses, or trains. The leaders do not agree. So, my question for this page is, what do leaders do after they find a problem? Let's think about that and talk about it. My question for this page is, how do leaders find a way to solve the problem? The leaders must compromise. A compromise is when people agree on a decision. The group talks about all of the ways to solve the problem. Finally, they decide that people should have to wear seatbelts in a car only or pay a fine. So, my question is, how do leaders find a way to solve the problem? Do you have an answer? My question for this page is, what does the small group of leaders do with their idea? What do the small group of leaders do with their idea? The small group of leaders now tells their idea to the big group of leaders. They tell the rest of the leaders about the idea to the problem. All of the leaders will then vote to make the idea become a law. If most of the leaders like the idea, it will become a law. What does the small group of leaders do with their idea? Do you know the answer? My question for this page is, what is the last thing that needs to happen before a law is made? What is the last thing that needs to happen before a law is made? The small group tells the other leaders that people should have to wear a seatbelt in cars. If someone chooses not to wear a seatbelt, then they will have to pay a fine or give the government money. All other leaders vote. Many of the leaders agree. So the idea becomes a law. My question for this page is, why is it a good idea to have more people involved in making a law? Let's discuss this question as our chapter comes to an end. That seems like a lot of work to get a new law, says William. It is, says Mr. Landry. It is good. that more people make laws. This helps to make sure that the laws and rules keeps things fair and help people stay safe. So why is it a good idea to help people? Why is it a good idea to have more people involved in making a law? That is the end of Chapter 2, High Level, Making New Laws.